Think about the last time you stood in front of your tank and felt satisfied instead of curious, like the tank had passed inspection and no further questions were allowed. The system starts falling behind long before anything looks wrong. African cichlids don't destroy tanks loudly. They destroy them quietly while everything still feels under control. They are heavy-bodied, high-output fish that apply constant biological pressure. And the moment you decided this filtration should be enough, the system politely accepted a limit it was always planning to cross. You didn't decide that carelessly. You did what almost everyone does. You trusted the label, the rating, the box, and the comforting idea that numbers know what they're doing. And that's why it works for a while. Most people build African cichlid tanks the same way they build community tanks, using ratings, averages, and what sounds responsible. 4 to 6 times turnover per hour feels correct on paper, and for many fish it is. African cichlids don't operate on paper. They operate on accumulation. Waste doesn't spike, it stacks. And by the time waste becomes visible in the water, the filter has already been losing ground for weeks, smiling the whole time. You don't see this because nothing looks broken yet. Overfiltration doesn't hurt these tanks because you were never ahead to begin with. You were compensating for something the system underestimated from day one. Clean-looking water is not a clean system, and trusting clarity is how most tanks quietly pass the point where correction is still possible. You've probably seen this before and dismissed it because everything seemed fine, and seemed fine is one of the most dangerous phrases in this hobby. There's another illusion layered on top of that one, and it's even harder to notice. A busy tank, lots of movement, fish constantly swimming like they're late for something important. To a human brain, movement equals life. Activity feels healthy. A tank full of motion feels successful. But in African cichlid tanks, constant movement often means constant negotiation. Fish aren't cruising, they're adjusting, they're tracking, they're avoiding. They're maintaining position like unpaid security guards working a 24-hour shift. A tank that never settles isn't energetic, it's tense. Intention doesn't show up on test strips. At what point did you stop watching behavior and start just checking the tank? Like the fish were background decor that occasionally needed food? Tank size hides the next quiet failure. A 55-gallon tank doesn't fail at the start. It fails months later, after growth, after hierarchy hardens, after space stops being neutral and starts becoming contested real estate. Early on, space feels infinite. Fish are smaller. Territories overlap without consequence. Everyone fits. That illusion lasts just long enough for you to get comfortable. You didn't overcrowd the tank recklessly. You added one more fish because African cichlids are beautiful, and one more never feels dangerous in the moment. The tank didn't shrink. The fish expanded, and aggression lost the space it needs to dissipate. That's how pressure builds without a single obvious mistake, just a series of reasonable decisions quietly stacking on top of each other. Most upgrades aren't impulse decisions. They're delayed corrections to a plan that was always too tight. By the time you're shopping for a bigger tank, the hierarchy has already written rules you don't get to erase. This is usually where people stop listening, because it means the problem didn't start last week, and nobody likes being told the issue has been brewing longer than their patience. Temperature is another betrayal that doesn't look like a mistake while it's happening. African cichlids aren't most tropical fish. Running them cooler than they prefer doesn't make them look sick. It makes them fragile. Fragile fish don't fail immediately. They absorb pressure, they tolerate it, they keep eating, they keep swimming, and that's what convinces you nothing is wrong, right up until something small happens. A minor water quality shift, a brief spike in aggression, a feeding competition that lasts a little too long, and suddenly the fish that looked fine yesterday can't recover today. You've seen this moment before, even if you didn't give it a name. pH is where control becomes dangerous. African cichlids aren't lost because you wanted the wrong number. They're lost because you chased the number instead of stability. Chemical adjusters create swings, and swings stress these fish far more than slightly imperfect water ever will. Stability always beats precision, even though precision feels more professional. When was the last time you changed something just because the number bothered you, not because the fish did? Hierarchy is where doubt sets in. Early on, the tank looks chaotic. Everyone chases everyone. You assume something is wrong. What you're actually watching is organization. A dominant fish emerges, the tank boss. And when hierarchy stabilizes, aggression often decreases. This is where many people relax too early, because a stable hierarchy doesn't mean a healthy system. It just means the rules are now being enforced consistently. The line most tanks quietly cross is disruption. Adding a single fish into an established African cichlid tank doesn't introduce it, it erases it. That fish has no rank, no buffer, and no time. The existing hierarchy doesn't negotiate, it corrects. Adding multiple fish at once works not because aggression disappears, but because fixation becomes impossible. Aggression spreads, focus breaks, survival becomes possible. Overstocking doesn't calm African cichlids, it prevents obsession. That distinction matters more than most people realize. All male tanks operate on the same principle. Females don't add balance, they add pressure. Competition intensifies, territories tighten, stress climbs unless breeding is the explicit goal and ratios are controlled. You already know this, but knowing and acting are not the same thing, and African cichlids are very good at exposing that gap. Knowing what fish you're buying is the most underestimated skill in this hobby. Lake Malawi alone holds hundreds of species, and they do not behave the same, eat the same, or tolerate the same conditions. Mixing peacocks, haps, and mbuna isn't impossible, it's unforgiving. Their swimming zones differ, their diets differ, their aggression thresholds differ. Every compromise adds strain you won't notice while the tank still looks calm, and calm keeps lying to you. Then there's the fish that never settles. The one you keep expecting to calm down like it just needs time to mature emotionally. Waiting doesn't fix that fish, it entrenches it. Every day it controls territory is a day the hierarchy reinforces its authority. Removing that fish isn't failure, it's intervention. Isolation breaks territorial memory. It allows hierarchy to reset. And when that fish returns, it no longer owns the system. This is the part most people don't like hearing because it means acting before certainty, and nobody enjoys making decisions without a guarantee. African cichlid tanks don't succeed because rules were followed. They succeed because pressure, space, and time were understood. Most mistakes don't look like mistakes while they're happening. They look like everything is fine. And that belief is exactly how these tanks fail. If your African cichlid tank feels calm right now and this made you uncomfortable, that discomfort isn't anxiety, it's information. It's the signal most people ignore until the system makes the decision for them. Before you go, look at your tank tonight. Not for clarity, not for color. Watch who waits. Watch who moves last. Watch who gave up space without a fight. How long has that fish been eating last? Calm tanks don't need to convince you they're calm, and tanks that need convincing are already telling you something you don't want to hear. If this feels familiar, say what species you're keeping and what behavior you've started noticing. I break down real African cichlid tanks like this every week on Dark Cichlids.